My midwife asked us to select a birthing course to take. And I saw a birth boot camp and I'm like, okay, this is more my style. I'm the type of person who wants to be like hardcore, and like I knew that birth was gonna be like intense, and so I wanted some sort of class with that same level of intensity. And when I saw how long the classes were and how many there were, I was like, wow, they're deep, because they have us going for several weeks. I didn't want to be caught off guard with anything because I knew it was serious and there was a lot at stake. So as far as how it impacted my pregnancy, I felt like it gave me and my husband things to constantly be thinking about or talking about or researching. It was my first pregnancy and there were many things that I just had no clue where to start. And the birth boot camp definitely gave us those starting points. Those discussions always continued even when we left the boot camp and like on the way home and that sort of thing. So it was always really a fruitful thing. It could give us tools and things we needed for the birth experience because so much is out of control. So my husband and I equipped ourselves with the tools, the things that we could control. Like we could control some aspects. And that also helped me like on an emotional level too, because during the whole birthing experience, I didn't have to worry about what is my husband doing? Does he know about this? Are the midwives aware of how to handle that? And so I could really just focus on being present and what I needed to do for myself and for my baby. There was this section that talked about making decisions and having that informed consent. And one of the things it did was it then broke down questions you can ask yourself. That little breakdown was so helpful because first of all, there's 1,000 things to consider when having your first child. And it was very overwhelming because these days with the internet, you can go online and you can find a study or a book or a blog who supports your viewpoint on something. But then if you flopped it, you could also find all those things for the other viewpoint. And we could kind of filter through that information ourselves and make that decision ourselves. Even after having my baby, there are still a ton of things I have to like consider and be like, what are we gonna do for teething? Or what are we gonna do when the baby starts eating solids? And so these questions I can take with me, and that to me is invaluable. I love that aspect of the class that they taught us. It was really like an empowering sort of thing. Like the decision is ultimately yours, and that's what the class told us. But how do you come to that decision? That I felt like I needed help with. But it was very reassuring when they're like, the class did not tell you one way or the other, you need to do it this way or think this about it. It was very much like, no, you think about it, you talk to your partner, and then you come to a decision, and here's how you can do that. So that was very helpful for me. I felt like this class not only offered a lot of information, and it offered it in a way that was very like open-ended, so there was a lot of great discussion, but more than anything, I would say the community aspect of the class was huge. It was probably one of the greatest things that I got out of the class, because information you can find anywhere. But really what I was looking for is, okay, yeah, I want information, but I also want other people who are journeying with me, kind of rubbing shoulders with others who have the same questions that I did or had the same fears that I did. And it was a safe place for us to all come together and talk and listen to others. And there's nothing like feeling like you're alone and then realizing that you're not. Also, our instructor was phenomenal, and she presented the class in a way that it was a safe place for us to ask whatever. There were no dumb questions, or we could be kind of brutally honest if we had to, or be maybe a little too descriptive if we had to, because there's all sorts of crazy things in birth. And so we needed that honest, authentic environment that we could just go and be who we are and ask what we need to ask and not be judged or not be criticized. I can't recommend it highly enough to other people. At first, I will admit, my husband and I were hesitant that like we were gonna have to take 10 weeks of classes for like 3 hours a class. Like it seemed like a lot. Like there's no way there's this much information out there. First of all, there is, but second of all, it never felt like it was too long. It always felt just right because Cheryl really did make it engaging and dynamic and interactive.